Hey, I'm here with another Troy Talk. No, it's not a TED Talk, it's a Troy Talk. Votefortroy.com. So, all right, the purpose of government. What is the purpose of government? Well, it's one of the first things that was done is when you have the Mayflower Compact and you've got some other settlements that came here to this country. One of the first things they did was organize government. Government is something that was God's idea. Genesis chapter 9, as soon as Noah got off the ark, in essence, human government was established among men. Now, here in this country, looking at the national level, 1776, I'm going to read briefly from the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That concept is foundational to American society. Whether you're at the town, county, state, or national level. That was a loaded part of a paragraph here. And to secure these rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Often overlooked in municipal government is life and liberty in the pursuit of happiness. A small town or even a larger town can become every bit as tyrannical as a national government can be upon its citizenry. The same with the state. I'm going to set aside the entire discussion about states' rights versus national government. I'm talking about here at the municipal level right now. There is no government that affects your quality of life more than your town or your city. Think about it for a minute. Your municipal government affects, your trash collection, your water delivery, your sewer capacity, and your sewer service. Here in this town, also our electrical, our utilities being provided for us and we're being charged for. The property taxes that you pay on your automobile every time you go to register it. The property taxes that you pay on your home. And make no mistake, if you are a renter, and 70% of you here in Selma are renters, the rent that you pay has to also help cover the property taxes that are set by your town government. Your county will also have a rate that you pay. And that's on top of your sales tax. And by the way, we can set sales tax rates to an extent here at the local level. But your state and their sales tax rate, and your state income tax and your federal income tax, well, property tax is all on top of that. The town will determine what kind of quality recreation, parks, playgrounds, baseball programs, little league, football, basketball, soccer, anything like that for your children. Those can be determined. The quality of the roads that you drive on. What color your house can be. The house I'm in is supposedly in the historic district. There is nothing historic about this house whatsoever other than the fact of one of my children was probably conceived in it. Nothing historic about this house. My mother is older than this house. Okay? But the town, in their wisdom, has included this house in the historic district. And supposedly there are greater restrictions on what I can do with my home in terms of its appearance, its color, all that happy, so what kind of siding that I can use. That's my understanding, that there's more restrictions for me because my town says so. My house right now is white. It's probably been white since 1950 because of the aluminum siding that came from like the 1950s on the side of this house. If I decide that I wanted to make it blue, am I free to do that? Yeah, we'd find out. How about the shed in my backyard if I want to replace it? How about if I want to put a sunroom on the back of my house? I had to get permission from the town and permits to put in my new air conditioning system some time ago. The town, the local municipal government, has a say in all of that. That's why I'm looking at the purpose of government. Is it the purpose of government to tell me what color I can paint my house? No. How about this? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Protecting life. Public safety should be a high priority for every level of government, especially at the municipal level. Local fire department, local police department, the local constabulary force here is what holds the society together. We have had people on our town council and previous town managers who had a very low view of public safety as a priority. Now, part of my background as well as my education happens to fall in line with the public safety side of things. I did it for a living. I was involved for 9 some years in public safety. But that doesn't mean that I think that public safety ought to get everything on their wish list ever. Far from it. But I do believe it still needs to be a priority. When we've got equipment that needs maintenance, tools that are broken and need repair or replacement, that we have trucks or fleet vehicles that are worn out or need to be repaired, radios that are going to be obsolete and no longer usable in the future, we need to do stuff about that now. We have to have a plan in place now. We have to figure out how we're going to fund all that now, instead of looking at the idea, oh, when the time comes, we're going to, we'll crunch it, we'll make do, and we'll see if we can get grants to cover it. I've got no problem with seeking out grants, but keep in mind that that's still taxpayer money. Somebody from Iowa is helping to pay for police radios or a civic center or a swimming pool here in Selma, North Carolina, if we get grants to pay for everything. And on the flip side, we help pay for bridges in Alaska, that sort of thing, or for infrastructure in some little civic center in Arizona. Is that appropriate? No. But apparently that's how they play the game. I don't like it. But anyway, we need to have plans in place to preserve life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When I talked about the color of the house I can paint, that's liberty. If I want to replace the fence in my backyard, that's my fence. That's liberty. Without a town telling me I can or can't do it. There are certain things, along with liberty and freedom comes great responsibility. That yes, you have to be a responsible citizen, that you don't affect your neighbors. The house right next door to me for a long time sat vacant for almost 10 years. Grass up to my knees. It looked like Herman Munster used to live there. And that was a problem because it attracted vermin. It attracted mice, it attracted roaches, it attracted fleas, and guess who paid the price for all of that next door? Me. Guess whose property value was suppressed because I had a neighbor who was inconsiderate and irresponsible and couldn't take care of their property? Me. If I tried to sell my house and next door neighbor's house looked the way it did for all those years, it's going to be harder for me to sell this property because of the way somebody else neglected their responsibility with their property rights. Their property rights should end where mine begin. That's another story and another discussion for another time. Fortunately, I've got some great neighbors now who've taken a lot of care and a lot of effort on that house, and it is so much better than it ever was, which helps me, helps them, helps the community. So the purpose of government. There are some priorities. Infrastructure. If we're not providing the water flow for the fire hydrants here in town to be able to put your house out when it's on fire, or for simply you to fill your kid's little inflatable swimming pool, not a good thing. If we're not taking care of the infrastructure needs in order to attract more business, more residents, that's a problem. If we've got development that we know is coming and we're not preparing for it, then we are affecting their life, their liberty, and their pursuit of happiness, because we're neglecting our responsibilities. And by the way, the pursuit of happiness in the original draft, property. We're supposed to preserve that stuff. So the purpose of government here, first and foremost, is to protect life, protect liberty. I don't care what level of government it is, and you have very different nuances at different levels and different levels of responsibility within that, but here in Selma, it's just as much our responsibility as anywhere else, especially when we are the first line of defense when you start looking at the idea of public safety for police and fire. And then we need to provide for infrastructure. We need to take care of our people. We need to take care of our citizens. We need to keep them safe. That's the primary role. VoteForTroy.com.